LaserDiscotheque! LaserDiscotheque! Here's a LaserDisc and put you in the face! LaserDiscotheque! LaserDiscotheque! We talk about LaserDisc and put you in the face! VHS, no! DVD, no! Blu-ray, fuck you! CD, no! LaserDiscotheque! LaserDiscotheque! We talk about LaserDisc and put you in the face! LaserDiscotheque! LaserDiscotheque! We talk about LaserDisc and put you in the face!
Greetings and welcome to the Laserdiscotheque podcast, episode 666, the number of the beast.
Keeping it metal, I like it.
Or just episode 6. Do you guys think we'll ever get to episode 666?
Sure, once I quit my day job, and
Maybe 66, right?
yeah, we could definitely do that.
All right, we'll shoot for 66 for now. With me as always, the Culturedog shit himself, Sam Hatch. How you doing?
What's going on? Thanks for that delightfully stinky intro.
I can't believe somebody commented on a video one time, Culturedog shit. For some reason, it really warms the cockles of my heart. I'm not sure why, but I thought it was very funny.
I'm glad you like that.
Also, Shawn the Leprechaun. Shawn.
Yes.
Are you Irish?
Irish and German, sure.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get right into it. Spinning.
Yes.
Pickups. Sam.
I just got a sweet box set of stuff from Japan from Kevin Kobos, the Good Squid.
All right.
So
okay, Kobos Day.
Yeah, I spent a good 3 hours tagging and bagging those suckers and inspecting the discs and everything. He again just crushed my wallet with a fell swoop. Whenever there's something I'm like, that's something I should look for. And I put him on the scent, and then within 2 days, he's like, I got them all. And I'm like, crap. So in this case, awesome. It was, I just randomly, even before the late, great Bill Tupance posted his catch of these James Bond discs, I had just kind of offhandedly made a comment that, I think I got to start collecting the rental discs, because there was a limited amount of rental discs made for the Japanese market, and they were all pressed in gold, which is interesting. The discs are gold, right. And they did all the letterbox James Bond films from the that got released around 93 or so. And I was like, so I gotta start looking for those. And then 2 days later, Bill posted that he had gotten every one except for GoldenEye and Goldfinger. And then about a day later, Kevin's like, I got them all except for GoldenEye and Goldfinger. So I guess those are hard to find. So I just got that box in the mail, and they're really cool. The gold disc makes it pretty neat. I don't think they have chapter stops or anything like that. But they look great, and they're just as good as the regular ones, except they have a rental logo stamped onto it. And got a ton of Dirty Pair Flash. I'm not really a big fan of Dirty Pair Flash. I like the classic Dirty Pair, but the price was right, and I figured I'd complete that. So I completed Series 1 and Series 3 anime stuff.
Sweet, dude.
I'm sitting here wondering, what the hell is he talking about?
Dirty Pair's badass. Something you should check out, Moyke.
We'll talk more about that, I'm sure. And,
spoilers.
And then I got Luc Besson's Atlantis, because we were talking about the Big Blue the last time.
Le Grand Bleu.
And then Moyke got that confused with Atlantis, and now I got Atlantis, so I was able to finally watch that, and that was fun. That was really cool. And what else? Yeah, we finished Passenger 57. Oh, I watched Dr. No at work, so I had to indoctrinate some people into the James Bond canon. So that went over really well. And that's about it. Peter Biancardi hooked me up with some more Bond things. And then, of course, had to add all sorts of wacky padding. Like, I got a Disco Vision copy of The Rose now. And some
lucky you.
Russian, military band LaserDisc and some, Rod Stewart concert from 82. So he pulled a Peter and sent all that stuff over. But,
Sweet.
It's been good. Things have been spinning up. And I got a LDS1 in the mail, too.
Oh, yeah, man. You were telling me
courtesy of some... Yeah, I guess I'm not supposed to officially give a shout out, but I have to, everyone out there who was part of that, they know who they are, and mega thanks for making that happen. I've been using it nonstop ever since I got it. So
beautiful machine, dude.
Really, really classy, and it's one of the rare 80s machines that I love. So because I'm more of like a 90s player guy.
Yeah. It's from the reference series pre-Elite.
Yeah, and it's got this thick like copper bottom and
it's
wood panel sides.
Heavy.
Super heavy, and then it's like whisper quiet when it's playing. So that's one thing I love about it. And yeah, it's gorgeous. So I've been spinning it on my big ass RPTV and just playing lots of discs on it. So yeah, love that thing. So cheers to the people that made it happen.
How have you been handling the no flip feature? Is it?
It's fine because when I'm watching things like downstairs on the projector or something, that's kind of more when I need the flip feature. Sometimes when I'm just chilling upstairs late at night, the flip is almost like a detriment. I'm like, oh, Jesus, don't flip to the other side. That's when I tend to watch just a side at a time of something. So, because I'll fall asleep if I end up trying to watch a whole movie sometimes. So I split it into two sections. So I kind of like that. It just doesn't flip. So I have control over it as opposed to that auto flip nonsense. So yeah, it's fine.
Nice. What about you, Moyke?
Cool. Let's see here. I picked up Ghost in the Shell. I picked up Akira.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I picked up Boogie Nights Criterion.
Ooh.
In fact, I traded for those, so that was pretty cool. Let's see. Other than that, I haven't picked up too much because I'm poor. And that's what happens. And also, I feel like, there's not a lot out there that I want at this point. So if I just happen to see something that interests me, I'll grab it. But that's some of the highlights from since last episode. What I've been spinning, I did spin Ghost in the Shell. We'll talk more about that later. I got halfway through Akira.
All right.
I did say I was exhausted, and sure enough, I passed out somewhere around the halfway through the first disc. So, but yeah, so there's that. Wilson Phillips been rocking that.
Nice.
Please,
I approve.
Please don't judge.
Judgment free zone, Moyke.
I wrote a song called Wilson Phillips and Selmo, so I'm not judging you.
Ooh, new intro song maybe?
Yeah, we could use it. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We could totally use it.
Viking motherfucking Sagas. I watched that one. That is an awesome movie, and I wish it wasn't such a hard to find disc because I want everyone to buy it and watch it because it's just an awesome action movie. And The Silencer, which is, I really don't know what to say about The Silencer. I get the feeling that when people talk about Citizen Kane, they're mispronouncing The Silencer. So big thanks to Shawn Jones for hooking up that trade. He tossed that in as a freebie because he knows me, and he knows what gets my nipples hard. So that would be one of those things.
Sweet.
Shawn, what you got?
All right. I was totally stoked. Member got a lot and decided he doesn't like anime and sent it all to me. So I got, I was stoked, man, especially considering what he got me. The whole Guyver series, some Berserk, the US Evangelion discs, which I was really happy to find. I just went through them before we started recording here, and neither of them have rot. So totally stoked about that. I got the Arrival box set.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, baby.
Oh, do I love that box set.
Me
Yeah,
too,
that's on my hit list.
Me too, dude. I've been waiting years. I don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger before. It's pretty easy to find.
Same here.
Yeah,
Sam, if you don't get that by Christmas, I might have to
make it happen. All right.
Yeah, and I know Maxine was just like, "Hey, I've got this. Do you want it?" Just randomly, and that was really nice. I also picked up. I'm trying to go for Spine Number Complete for Criterion Collection. So I dropped some coin on the CLV Brazil.
Yes, I saw your picture of that.
Yeah, which is it's not the box set that's I guess isn't rare at all, but that's a beautiful box set. But it's just CLV. It's 2 discs. It's pretty much sans all the special features except for the commentary.
Which is cool.
Yeah, which is rad because usually they're bare bones.
Usually they don't give you anything just to be dicks.
Yeah. Hey, you want to spend almost as much money for half the content?
Yeah.
But yeah,
now,
I was really stoked to get that.
So is this a trophy disc for you? Because I'm not sure why someone would pick a CLV when CAV is the option.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, like I said, I'm going for spine number complete.
Spine number.
On the Criterion completion, and
Gotcha.
it's got a different spine number. Yeah,
Gotcha.
which is really stupid because like that means I have to buy Prince of Tides twice.
That's right. I forgot about that.
You know what I mean? Which is, I already bought the other one, and that was hard.
Wow.
I mean, you don't have to.
Well, I don't. Of course, I don't have to. But if I really want to be spine number complete, and actually, the last, because they recalled the first one, Prince of Tides.
Yeah, the commentary, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Did you see the last one that sold on eBay? It was like $350.
Yeah, it's
What?
insane.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
For Prince of Tides?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's nuts,
It's
dude.
so stupid.
Yeah, it's so dumb. I don't understand it either. But as far as spinning,
It's so funny.
all that stuff, I've been checking out. And yesterday, I was telling Sam about it. Yesterday, I took my laser display to work.
Yep.
And
Which I also recommend.
yeah, so we didn't have laser lunch. We had laser dinner. And
Nice.
with me and the clients, and we watched The Demolitionist, the Japanese copy that I got a couple weeks ago, and it's an awesome flick, man. I love that. It's trash, and I love it. It's a piece of shit. And it's glorious.
Nicole Eggert, right?
What's up?
Nicole Eggert?
Yeah. Nicole Eggert, yeah. And like they had never seen LaserDisc. They didn't know what it was. They were just totally stoked to find out what it was and watch a movie on it. And so that was a lot of fun, but that's pretty much what I've been getting down on.
Cool.
Sweet.
I want that movie. I want to pick that up. Now, did you say when I asked you in another situation, is the Guyver in English or no?
No, it's not. Of course not. It's a Japanese disc.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I like you said, in another situation, like as if we don't know that means naked in bed.
With the pizza, right?
Yeah.
With the pizza, yeah.
Yeah. We get
Hey, does the Guyver have subtitles?
whispering sweet nothings in my ear, and I'm like, no, get a Genlock.
This pizza's heavy. We really do need to get a Genlock, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm down.
Yeah, we got to do that. So let's move into our movie of the episode.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I love this one. I love this one.
Yeah, this time around it was my pick, and for this episode, it is the film Airheads.
Yes.
It's a 1994 comedy starring Brendan Fraser, Steve Buscemi, Adam Sandler, the awesome Michael McKean, Ernie Hudson, Chris Farley, Kramer, Joe Magtagna, Judd Nelson, and I could go on and on. I mean, it's a pretty
It's a
awesome
huge,
cast
yeah.
on
It's
this
a good cast.
Amazing.
Yep, and it's a movie about a trio of losers who can't seem to break into the music industry. And to get around that, they decide to take the radio station hostage to get their demo played on the air. After that, the plot is pretty much rock and roll! And that's fine, because that's really all it has to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The movie is funny,
Very.
well acted, and the characters are likable, despite being kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's pretty concise, man. I love this movie, man. I watched it with my brother, and he was a big metalhead, so he got it. That basically they were poking fun at him, and he was cool with it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. I've always loved this movie. It's so funny. Some of the scenes are classic. I mean, there's nothing really terrific here as far as like direction or design or any of that kind of stuff. But it's the same director who did Heathers and Hudson Hawk. And if you like those movies, you're going to love this one.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely adore this movie as well. I watched it all the time when I was a kid, when it first came out, and the subsequent years after, and it's just sort of one of my go-tos when I kind of want to laugh and turn the brain off for a while. And, despite being a perfect time capsule of the early 90s, it really holds up well, although it sort of details a process that doesn't really happen anymore. These days, you don't really have to get your music played on the radio in order to get a record deal or anything like that. You just pop it on YouTube and you're pretty much done, and you monetize it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm a fan of radio movies in particular, and FM is a hilarious one because that's a movie about a whole radio station going on strike because being forced to play ads. And like, this isn't corporate America, this is a radio station, and like, it's completely dated. And yeah, the same thing in this one. It's radio. It's got this naive kind of time capsule piece of that period when you needed to get signed and you needed to get that big radio play, and the only way to kind of break in was to know somebody or actually just have really, really good product. But that's one cool thing too. The band, the Lone Rangers, their one song, it's actually a cover tune, but it's pretty catchy stuff. So I like the fact that they actually could rock out when they got a chance to.
Yeah, and that's really Brendan Fraser on vocals there. It's kind of amazing. And you could tell it's him, but it's like it's not bad. It sounds pretty good.
I feel like we mentioned Brendan Fraser too much in the last 2 casts.
I know, right? He's like our mascot.
Yes.
I happen to love Brendan Fraser, so I'm okay with that.
And it's a weird period too, because T.B. Buscemi was starting to do a lot of indie stuff, but he was still friends with Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler's star hadn't like completely taken off yet.
No.
So yeah, it's a real cool kind of like time when they made this movie. They easily could have done it in the late 80s as like a Sunset Strip, like glam rock kind of thing. But it was even cooler that it was that weird period when like thrash was crossing over and glam was kind of dead, but there was a lot of just, hard rock and people. It was a gray area about to start, but there was that whole kind of mentality still with people in LA that man, we're gonna make it and quit our day jobs cleaning the pool and everything's gonna happen for us. So, but like you mentioned, I love that the characters are likable because they're supposed to be idiots in a sense. But if they're not likable, then you're not gonna enjoy watching them for an hour and a half. So.
Right, and you have some great cameos in this one. You have Beavis and Butthead, their voices anyway.
Yes.
You got Harold Ramis, which in my opinion makes this the 3rd Ghostbusters movie.
Nice.
That's a great scene too.
You got White Zombie playing in the club scene there,
Yeah.
and they sound amazing. I mean, it's pre-Rob Zombie, but White Zombie.
Oh yeah. Lemmy's in it too.
Yep. Lemmy's in it.
Yep.
Stuttering John is in it.
Yeah.
Yep. We're probably missing some, but
It's endless. It goes on and on.
Oh, Marshall Bell from Total Recall as the guy that's always in touch with Michael Richards, and he's kind of like a big character. But yeah, Chris Farley at the White Zombie concert, some great stuff. Nina Shamosko, Casey Shamosko's sister, she's usually in a lot of like softcore like Cinemax porn stuff, but she plays this kind of ditzy girl that ends up getting it on with Adam Sandler. But it's fun, and it kind of gets into the whole kind of like corporate radio, like being a guy in radio. I see it happen to people all the time where they switch genres overnight just because of marketing and what kind of ratings they get. Like, so nobody's really about the music.
yeah,
It's just tomorrow we're country, and everybody's like, okay, cool. So they kind of get into that stuff here. I like some of the insider stuff that was going on in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael McKean kind of playing the exact opposite of what he was in Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny to see.
Oh man, yeah, that's probably my favorite scene is that one you guys are talking about just now where they're like, oh, we're switching. Everybody finds out they're switching formats. That's my favorite scene in that whole movie.
Are we going to talk favorite scenes now? Is that what we're jumping into?
I was going to talk about the soundtrack first, but fuck it, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we got to talk about the soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure.
Do it.
Yeah,
Make it happen.
I mean, come on, man. Motorhead, White Zombie, Degeneration, Primus, Anthrax. Everybody, man. The Ramones. Just a kick-ass soundtrack.
It is. Yep.
Anthrax doing like a Morrissey cover too, so it's not even just like the usual stuff. It's cool, man.
It's bizarre, man. It's so great.
That period, man, it was like the soundtracks were essential. Between Shocker, Demon Knight, like every movie just had this kick-ass soundtrack that you had to go buy. Especially if you're a completist and you loved White Zombie, like you had to buy all these soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got House of Pain, which is a personal favorite of mine. So
Nice.
it's an awesome mix and something I probably should pick up at some point.
Yeah, I feel like it's a time capsule for a lot of things. We seem to be saying that in everything that we're saying. It's like a time capsule of this time period.
It really is.
It's cool though because it's not a time that is captured in a lot of other movies, really. So and I was enjoying it when it happened for the first time. So it's cool. It really means a lot to me, and I love movies that are like One Crazy Night kind of comedies and siege comedies too, like things like the Blues Brothers where they're up against all the cops and that sort of thing. So this gets so many things right that I love. And it's killer.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, and also, I gotta say, as someone who's not a big fan of Adam Sandler, he's awesome in this because I think he does a lot better in sort of a supporting role rather than captain of the helm.
Yep.
So I definitely liked his performance in this, and Steve
That was
Buscemi is hilarious, and
That was like one of my first like Adam Sandler quotables when he was like, when Steve Buscemi's trying to get him to get angry, and he's like gonna stab someone in the head with my dick. Blood's gonna come out.
I used to say that in high school after that.
Yeah, all the time. It's classic.
That movie.
Yeah, that's too good.
All right, favorite scene, Shawn.
Oh, like I said, it's that one where they all find out that they're switching formats, and the girl who plays the receptionist, what's her name? She just puts her head in her hands and she's like, all those blowjobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That's a good one.
I love that. That's favorite scene and favorite line, all in one.
All right, Sam, what's your favorite scene?
It's tough to choose, but I got to go with the White Zombie Club scene. Yeah, Chris Farley taking on the dudes, pulling out their nipple rings, and
that's a great stuff.
Yeah,
actually, that and the Harold Ramis thing with Lemmy. The trick question, Lemmy is God bit. Those two probably.
Yeah, or Van Hagar, or Van Halen, or Van Hagar.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, whose side were you on in the Van Halen split? Yeah.
That was the first time I saw Fat Harold Ramis, and I didn't recognize him when I was a kid and saw it.
That's hilarious.
Funny. All right, did you have a favorite line there, Sam?
Oh yeah, trick question, Lemmy is God.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Cool. My favorite scene, I mean, there are so many good scenes in that movie.
Exactly.
I think my favorite scene is probably when Steve Buscemi, they're all arguing, and he's talking about Mike McKeon's ponytail being fake. He's like, it's probably not even real, and he pulls it, and it turns out it is real. And he goes, ah, and I don't know. That's just a funny scene. And then my favorite line would be when the character Carl Mace, the SWAT guy, I forget his real name. You'd mentioned it. He's talking to Kramer, while Kramer's
Marshall
up in
Bell.
Yeah. He's talking to Kramer while he's up in the ventilation shafts, and he goes, "You got any kind of training?" And he's like, "Well, I was in the Merchant Marines. Marines, yeah, I copy, but I was an accountant. Nah, you won't be held accountable." I just love how he's totally getting it wrong the entire conversation.
Oh man, yeah, dude.
I love too that the band calls themselves Power Slop. I use that a lot, and I'm always tempted whenever I'm doing an interview to describe my band as Power Slop. So.
I got runner-ups too, man. Like I always find myself using that line. If you're too loud, it's too. If it's too loud, you're too old.
You're too old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say it to my kids all the time. Like, I'll have something on and I'll be cranking it, and they're like, "It's too loud," and I'm like, "If it's too loud, you're too old," and I turn it all the way up.
Yeah, I say that to my wife every time she yells at me for the volume being too loud on the TV. I mean, I kind of mumble it under my breath, but whatever.
Yeah, but in your head, you're like badass Joe Mantegna pushing all the volume faders up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good movie, and I also love the scene where Chaz is giving the speech to the crowd about how he, and it's a totally unnecessary. It's so funny. Like she would care that he used to be a dork. Like it's such a weird scene, but the fact
Chester.
that
yeah. What was that line? I used to masturbate.
Yeah.
I just love how he's like, I used to eat my boogers.
I was the editor of the school newspaper.
Oh my god!
It's just a funny scene because I mean he's pointing his gun at the crowd and none of the cops are shooting him. It's like, come on, if somebody in real life were to point their gun at a crowd like that, they take him down in a second. But,
yeah, for sure. Of
course.
Yeah, but it's such an awesome scene. I absolutely love it. So that's it for me.
Yeah, that's
and
it for me.
how was the disc?
Right,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Picture quality.
Yeah.
I'd say it was solid. It wasn't the best I've ever seen, but it was solid. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, this was when Technodisc was doing a lot of stuff for Fox, and they had finally gotten their act together a little bit. They had a lot of problems before with rot and stuff, and mine looked fine. It was noisy in like the dark kind of browns and stuff like that, but the colors and everything really popped in a lot of those like nighttime shots and things like that. So maybe a little inconsistent, but when it looked good, it looked really good. So good contrast.
And like you said, the colors in that movie are very good. So it's nice to see that come through on the screen.
Yeah, but when they were like hanging out in their like hideout, like practice room or whatever early on in the movie, they're like the wood paneling was like kind of noisy and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Can't really complain. I got the DVD, so I was able to do a compare and contrast, and yeah, looked good.
Yeah, my only complaint is the sleeve cover. It's that same cover they use on every single release of this movie. Even the Japanese and Hong Kong
Japanese
release.
one, yeah, it's identical.
It's
right?
all the same. And then you look at the DVD, it's the same.
I've got it. It's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely the same. Sean, what do you think about the picture and sound quality? And all that?
I'm going to defer to you guys because I was just having so much fun watching it. I didn't care.
Okay.
I really did. I've seen the movie a billion times, and I wasn't even paying attention. But I can tell you that it didn't make me think like, it looks awful, or my God, it looks amazing. So, it's middling, 6 to 7, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, the movie's so great, you're not going to give a shit.
Yeah, I'd probably go 6 or 7 too. But yeah, it's widescreen. It's got that going for it. It's not AC3. It's before that, but it's got a killer digital surround track. So. Yeah, man.
Yeah, decent release, and for a disc you can get for sub $10. If anybody out there doesn't have it, I highly recommend picking it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Cool. All right, guys. Anything else on Airheads, or are we good?
We're good from my end.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next segment, which is our top 5.
Yes. I've been
Sam.
waiting for this.
Sam.
Top 5 enemy LaserDisc 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a top 5.
That's right. You heard it here, folks. Top 5 animes. Top 5 animes.
Anime.
Yeah.
I refuse to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Hold on, I gotta do it.
So pretentious.
I gotta do a finale. Moyke calls it anime, but what does he know?
All right, yep. So, exactly. I let the guys have their way, and we're going to talk about anime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, was this a hard list for you guys to put together?
Yes and no. I kept fighting with myself about the parameters that I was going to use to pick.
Same here.
I was going to be like, I'm going to take anime so great, I'm going to take it all into consideration, everything I've ever seen. And then I was like, no, I have to own it. And then I was like, you know what? My criterion is that the ones I watch the most. So once I hit upon that, it was easy. But it took forever I got the whole list together like an hour before we did this.
Yeah, same. And I wasn't sure if I was going to just stick with movies or series or if I was going to include box sets or not. And then same thing, though. I wanted to stick with what I owned. So that made it a lot easier because I'm pretty focused on a certain series until I get them all. So I don't really have the amazing collection that I hope to have someday yet. So a lot of stuff got kicked to the curb because of that.
Right.
Yeah, I struggled.
We know.
My criteria was, could I think of it? If I could think of it, it made
Does
the
it
list.
exist?
Does it exist? If yes,
God.
it made my list. And does it seem interesting or something that I might like or not? So I don't necessarily own all of these because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to make a top 5. But yeah, so I guess we'll see how that goes. Do you think do you guys think we'll have any crossover?
Maybe me and Sam would.
Yeah, definitely. My stuff's pretty straightforward. So I think Shawn will probably have some cooler, like deep cuts than me. But
Gotcha. Well, let's talk runners up. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
all right.
Please.
My runner-ups, and I did have some, believe it or not. First runner-up was Grave of the Fireflies.
Ooh.
So that's a movie that I've wanted to own for quite some time. I haven't seen the movie, but I know generally what it's about, and it just sounds like something that would be of great interest to me. Problem is I rarely ever see it for sale. So
that movie is heavy shit, dude. You're gonna love that movie.
Yeah, so I hope to get that someday. My other runner-up, so I only had 2, was Vampire Hunter D. And that's on my runner-ups list because that also looks like something that would interest me. I actually saw it up for auction a couple days ago, but I passed on it because I'm lazy and cheap. So those were my runner-ups. Shawn, what were yours?
Mine were pretty much every Animego release was a runner-up. I couldn't pick them all. But really great quality discs. They did a wonderful job with translations. Usually great packages, lots of information. But you know, I couldn't pick them all, so they're all runner-ups. Also, the Cowboy Bebop box set, simply because I talk about it too much already. And that's about it. Everything else I was like, this, and this, you know.
Wait a second. Cowboy Bebop didn't make your list?
No.
Didn't make mine either.
No.
What?
Nope.
Didn't make mine either, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I mentioned it like 5 times last podcast. So I think I talked about it enough.
All right, fair enough. Sam, what were your runner-ups?
Runner-ups are probably all the killer titles that I either own in other format, and I would love to have an LD, but I just can't, give props to, like Robot Carnival and Captain Harlock, My Youth in Arcadia, Urusei Yatsura, Crusher
all
Joe,
fucking hits. Fuck yeah.
Lensman, stuff like that. I don't have it all, so I suck. Jinro the Wolf Brigade, I'd love to have it, but I am a slacker. And like I said, I've been micro-focusing on other series. But other ones that I actually do own that I kicked to the curb would be Cowboy Bebop, and just because it was serialized, and I don't know, I had 9 different discs of episodes, and I couldn't just pick one. I guess I would pick Volume 1 maybe, but and Macross Plus, the movie, was my other one on there, and Ghost in the Shell, my other runner-up.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorites. I don't have the box set, the big Japanese box set, but I do have the manga release, which I do enjoy quite a bit, but believe it or not, it didn't make the top 5.
Rock on, wow.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. All right, Shawn, why don't you start us out with your number 5?
Excellent. Number 5 was really easy. It's basically what I've been watching lately the most, and we talked about it last podcast, and I want to talk about it this podcast again, the Macross Memorial Box. Now, I watched Robotech when I was a kid, and I had no idea what anime was. I watched Robotech, I watched Speed Racer, I watched Gigantor, and I had no idea that it was anime. I just thought it was cartoons, And when I found out the whole story about turning Macross and a couple other series into Robotech, that I was like, okay, now I got to see Macross, and I loved it almost just as much. And having this box set is astonishing. It looks great, it sounds great, it's beautiful, it's hefty. My kids love watching it with me because they like Robotech and Macross too. So that's number 5.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, Sam, what's your number 5?
Number 5, I got to go back to kind of the origins. I'd been into anime without knowing what it was from when Star Blazers was on TV and Battle of the Planets and stuff like that. But when I first started kind of figure out what was going on, Voltron had dropped, and this Comics Buyer's Guide, it was a Comics Buyer's Guide knockoff magazine I got, had a big thing about manga and anime. And the first thing that they were really covering was Space Adventure Cobra.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going Space Adventure Cobra, the movie. Just he's cooler than cool, getting in adventures. He's got a psycho gun. I mean, what's not to love? It's early 80s, toy animation stuff, 82, so it's just got a cool classic anime style.
Kick-ass music, too.
Kick-ass music. The LaserDisc for the movie, I've just got the single edition. I don't know if there's a box set out there, but it's gorgeous. The cover art is amazing. Yeah. And it's just, that's meat and potatoes, comfort food kind of one that I'd want to throw on at any given night. So, love it.
Kick-ass, nice.
Would I like that?
You might. I don't know. I don't know if it's too old for you, but you'd be like, yeah, it looks like something grandpas would watch. But you might dig it. I don't know.
A lot of that late 70s and middle 80s stuff is a lot of style over substance. To be honest with you,
yeah, for sure.
It's just total adventure, fun times. The animation kind of sucks.
Yeah,
but it's stylish as fuck. And the music usually is this awesome jazz fusion, weird electronica or something, and it's usually awesome. So you might. I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about your anime tastes, if you have any.
Maybe after the list we'll know.
Yeah, I was gonna say after the list you'll know. All right, my number 5 is Dominion Tank Police.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
Now this is a series that I enjoyed as a kid, but back then it was known as Tokyo Tank Police. And yes, I did enjoy anime when I was younger. Believe it or not.
What happened to you?
Yeah.
Well, at the time, I didn't know it was I just thought I was just watching cartoons. It came on TV, and they were blood and usually boobs and butts, and I was like, yeah, this is
All the
this
things
is
you
awesome.
love, yeah.
Yeah, I love these cartoons. And then I became an adult, and started seeing real boobs and butts and all that. So I didn't need anime anymore. So it was a great series from what I remember, and it actually got a U.S. release, so there are maybe subtitles, maybe dubbed.
Yeah, there are subtitles.
Yeah,
it's a
I hope to
great
own
release
it someday.
Gatefold.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
So I hope to own it someday, but it hardly ever comes up, and when it does, it usually goes for more than I want to pay for it. So I probably won't ever own it, but I hope to. So
great pick, dude. I love the Puma sisters.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I don't like about.
Well, that's because you're lame. So.
Well, it's just weird. It's like it could have been an awesome show about tanks and police and fighting and shooting, and then they have these two chicks that are like they have cat ears for some reason. It's like what the fuck is going on?
Why not?
Yeah, but why cat ear? Like why? Why is that? What the fuck? It's like I'm gonna watch a movie. It's called Die Hard, except John McClane has cat ears. So
okay, fair enough.
It's like why?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my number 5.
Nice.
Sam, why don't you start us out with our number 4?
Number 4 was the first LaserDisc I ever bought. Well, I bought 3 on the same night, but this is one of them, and it stuck with me. Project A-ko.
Oh,
it is a 1986 kind of sci-fi Supergirl comedy that references tons of other anime series. And, it's ostensibly about this one girl who has some superpowers and might have a connection to some other famous kind of mythical superpowered people. And she goes to school and she hangs out with this little dorky ditzy girl named Seiko, who I think I've seen pictures of Moyke dressed up.
You have.
No, you haven't.
You have.
And they, they wear the traditional, kind of like the sailor suit, basically when they're going to school. And then this rich girl,
Moyke's favorite
Biko,
cosplay.
is always trying to steal Seiko away from A-ko, and it's just all the outrageous shenanigans they get into. The Biko keeps building bigger and bigger robots with her, dad's money, essentially, and it's just sheer nonsense, but lots of great references. And then, of course, these other people show up, and they believe that Seiko is their long-lost princess. And, just insanely
completely
cool,
ridiculous.
fun soundtrack. And, it's cool. The transfer's not that amazing on the American release LaserDisc, but still, I love it.
The Reds go crazy on that movie.
For sure, yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Whenever you guys describe these things, they always sound awesome, but then I look them up and I'm like, ugh.
Well, this one I don't think you would like, not because it's not fun or funny, but it's fun and funny because we get the joke.
Yeah, you kind of have to be.
You know what I mean? We get that they're making fun of mech anime, or we're getting a harem anime, or some other kind of some stuff we've seen, the tropes that they're making fun of.
Yeah, Captain
tropes
Harlock
that
and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that would be lost on me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, I will go ahead next with my number 4, and because it'll be short and sweet, my number 4 is Little Nemo: Adventures in Slumberland.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Cool.
I wasn't even sure that would count as anime, but
yeah, of course it does.
Okay, cool. I haven't seen it, but I own it, and that's why it's on my list. So that's my number 4.
You should watch it now. Now that you picked it, put it on your list.
Maybe someday.
Oh man, nice pick, dude.
Thank you. All right, Shawn.
All right, number 4 is Fushigi no Umi no Nadia, which is Nadia of the Blue Water. The Perfect Collection. It's a 10-disc book, which is video book. It's beautiful. It was done, directed by the same guy who eventually directed Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's equal parts fun and heartbreaking and really kick-ass by the end. Not only is the box set beautiful, it actually looks beautiful on the screen too. Colors are great and wonderfully balanced. You don't get any crazy red shit going on. And I've loved that series since I saw it when I was 14 or 15. And it's just great. Sometimes the animation, like about 2/3 of the way in, gets really crappy. For some reason, I think probably just time constraints trying to get the episodes out. But you know, besides that, if you can overlook that, you'll love the series.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty, number 3. Let's start with Shawn.
Okay, fantastic.
Back at it.
Yeah, now this one I kind of cheated, and I totally picked a whole series of stuff, and that's the Tenchi Universe series of U.S. box sets. Tenchi Universe is fucking something I watched. One of the first anime I watched where I was cognizant that it was anime. And I was watching it on purpose because it was anime. And it's harem anime. It's basically one guy and a bunch of chicks. And hilarity ensues. And you got the dirty old man and space and time adventures. And they're just they're wonderful, man. And each box set is well put together and done nicely by Pioneer. You get collectible cards in each one, and I don't know. I just dig it, man. It's a lot of fun. My kids watch it, so it gives me another excuse to watch anime. They actually made me buy all the rest of the box sets. They're like, we want to finish it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that series means a lot to me then and now. So yeah, there you go. And I think there's 8 boxes plus the Tenchi Muyo in Love movie box, so 9 boxes total.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. What's your number 3?
I'm going with a film that I didn't have on Laserdisc for a long time, but I did have a VHS dub of the Laserdisc that I bought at the convention. And I was able to, through the good work of the Kevin Kobos Good Squid, I was able to get a copy of it. And it is Dirty Pair, the movie, also known as Project Eden.
Yes.
And it's an essential part of my teenhood and then beyond. And Dirty Pair are adapted from a book series, and they're from the same universe as Crusher Joe.
Yeah.
They work for this place called the World Welfare Works Association, but they're basically going around trying to fix all these problems, and then they're called the Dirty Pair and a bunch of other things because they end up causing more problems than were originally there before they went to go solve them. So it's got a great James Bond opening, kind of like pre-credits adventure bit where they're on a space station, and it introduces you to this thief character, Carson D. Carson, who comes back throughout the film, and they end up just blowing up the entire space station. And that's like the sort of thing that happens. Yeah, and then their main adventure is they're going to this one planet where there's warring factions, and these crazy creatures have been coming to life and destroying people in like mining colonies. And there's a mad scientist there who's maybe trying to make chicks, that sort of thing. And it's really, really fun stuff. The Dirty Pair are just great characters. I love the soundtrack. I used to listen to it in my geometry class on my Walkman while I was supposed to be working. So yeah, it's just part of my DNA by now.
Oh hell yeah, Dirty Pair is always a good pick, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
You actually might like that one, Moyke.
Yeah,
might,
Crusher Joe's been on my list, my want list. So that sounds like that might be something I would want too, but I'll probably never get it because those are Japanese only releases. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Crusher Joe got an American release, but I don't think Dirty Pair.
Oh, it did?
Yes, Crusher Joe did. The movies and the OVAs got an American release.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You can get Dirty Pair on DVD, but not on LD, unfortunately, here in the States. But they're definitely worth searching out, and it's fun stuff. If you like things like Cowboy Bebop and you like Firefly and kind of fun, witty sci-fi stuff, you'll dig it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
do. Are they hard to find?
Not really, no.
No.
So, yeah.
No. Because I'm not seeing it at all on eBay. So fuck you guys.
Oh yeah, don't buy them on eBay.
Yeah, don't buy them on eBay. Buy them on that other place.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out. All right. So my number 3. So my number 3, and this was a really kind of a tough number to fill. I was debating whether it should be Spriggan or Ghost in the Shell. I thought maybe Spriggan because I like it more than Ghost in the Shell. At least I think I do. I actually bought it on Laserdisc, but it's in Japanese.
Right.
And so I don't know if I like it, but visually it's more appealing to me than Ghost in the Shell. However, Ghost in the Shell comes in that awesome box set. It's got an English language track. So since I've seen it all and I've got to take it all in, Ghost in the Shell makes my number 3.
Nice pick.
Nice.
Slightly edging out Spriggan. So yeah, awesome movie for the most part. It was a little incomprehensible in a few spots, but I got the gist of the plot. Now, Shawn, tell me where I'm getting it wrong. Okay.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to try to explain this movie, and then I'm going to tell you what I didn't get about it, and I want you to see if you can fill in those gaps.
Okay.
So it's and I'll give you a quick synopsis of what my take on it.
All right.
So basically, you got this future where everybody's like part android, or in some cases fully android, and they have so there's this this guy in town who's brokering a deal for somebody to give them an asylum. And for some reason, and I still don't know why. I don't know why the woman, the Ghost in the Shell woman, whatever
Kusanagi.
her name is.
Major Kusanagi.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call her that.
Just
the
the
main
major.
character.
Just say the major. It's fine.
Yeah,
The major. There you go.
Okay, the major. So why does the major kill the diplomat that's there to broker a asylum? That seems almost like an act of evil. And she's the hero of the movie.
Okay. Well, it's done for no other reason than to do something cool. It has almost absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the plot.
Okay. So that's probably on my list of reasons of why I hate anime.
Oh.
Aw.
You mean you hate stylistic stuff that means nothing?
It does mean something. It happens. I see it.
Yeah,
So that
and?
makes me think, oh, she's awful, and I'm supposed to be rooting for her? It makes me not want to root for her. But anyway, so that happens, and then they are, I guess somebody sets up a decoy by having the trash guy go around and hack into his ex-wife's ghost. And so that somehow creates a distraction. But then it turns out that the bad guy, what was his name? The
Puppet Master.
The Puppet Master, that's right. So the Puppet Master is the actual thing that was seeking asylum. It had become self-aware, but it was... And then its creators confined it to a body, which at that point it escaped.
Yes.
And then... So the next part I don't get is when they're on the boat and the Major hears her own voice coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
And so she goes and talks to the Puppet Master, who proposes that they merge. And so then they merge. She gets her head blown off, and her buddy there uploads her into a child's body.
Bato. Yeah.
Bato, yeah.
Whatever that was, that her name?
No,
That's
that's
her
his
buddy.
name. That's her buddy.
Yeah.
Bato.
Oh,
The
okay,
cyborg
gotcha.
guys, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's in the child's body, and then the movie ends.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's
about
exactly.
it.
That's
Yeah.
not too bad. You got it.
Good
So that's-
synopsis.
Yeah, you got it.
So
But
That's
okay,
it?
no. Okay, so a lot of things are implied, and I feel like I'm kind of ruining it for you because you get the gist after you watch it a bunch of times.
yes, I need to watch it.
Okay,
again.
yeah,
I will admit.
And maybe this is the reason why you don't like anime so much. Anime doesn't give you all the answers. It makes you ask questions, at least in my opinion. And I know that's an assumption on my part, but really, after watching it a bunch of times, it's basically implied that Kusanagi is the first of her kind. She's fully a robot. She's a robot with the soul of a human being put inside a robot brain. You know what I mean? And that whole so that means the Puppet Master's real goal is, I assume and I infer from all the stuff that happens that the Puppet Master's goal was her the whole time, was to have her involved so that he could get to her.
So they could merge.
Yes.
For what? To what end?
Because the AI wanted to be really conscious, I guess. I don't know.
He was conscious.
Sort of.
Okay.
Yeah, look, like I said, that's there aren't any definitive answers, and I kind of like that.
Okay.
It can sort of be whatever you'd like. Sam, what do you think?
Okay.
I think it's same thing. It's good. It could be a disco love story. It could be an action film. It could be whatever you want.
Yeah,
You need to watch it again, Moyke.
Yeah, you do need to watch it again.
All right. I will withhold any more judgment. It did make my number 3 on the list,
It did.
so I don't want anybody to think I didn't like it because I did. It's visually stunning.
I was gonna
It's
say you
exciting.
should have screenshot with us, and it looks downright unbelievable.
dude. No,
Oh, yeah.
it's the movie itself is awesome, and it's really I'm nitpicking to be honest.
Gotcha.
because I watch movies to be entertained, and I was entertained, so I can't complain. And the ending battle scene with that mech, that whatever that was, the
spider tank,
that was awesome. Yeah,
actually,
so cool.
When that came out here in the States, it was screening at this tiny little weird art house theater, and I actually bailed on Thanksgiving dinner with my family to drive through a blizzard to go see it in a movie theater.
Oh, that's
film.
so hardcore, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was like,
cool.
Fuck y'all. Keep your turkey. I'm going to watch some anime, bitches.
That's awesome.
Anyway,
dude.
that's my number 3, Ghost in the Shell.
Hey,
Awesome.
really quick, actually.
I'll watch it again.
Really quick, Moyke. The same guy who wrote the original Ghost in the Shell stuff that the movie was based on also wrote and designed and made the Dominion Tank Police. Mason Munishiro.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
There you go. Now you know why you like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Just want to let you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. Why don't I start us off?
Please.
Mine will be really quick. My number 2 is Ninja Scroll.
Yeah.
Now,
Great
this
flick.
is a disc that I wish I owned, but it just gets too expensive.
I don't own it either on Laserdisc, yeah.
I used to own it.
Yeah,
I sold it.
Yeah. But it's a great movie from beginning to end. It's fun to watch, and I have no questions about that one.
Yeah, that movie's one of those top 5 anime classics. Like, you show somebody who's never seen anime.
Yeah.
And they love it.
Yeah. That, Akira,
So-
Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that.
So I hope to have it someday, but for now I don't.
Nice pick, dude. That's an awesome movie.
Cool. Sean.
All right, my number 2 is the Armitage the Third Polymatrix box set, and it's the Japanese release. The movie is in English, so even though it's a Japanese release, it's in English. It's famously the voices of Elizabeth Berkley and Kiefer Sutherland, but also Bryan Cranston does a voice in there too.
Oh my God! What was it called again?
Armitage the Third. And it's a great movie. It's kick-ass. There's an OVA series, but then they condense it into a movie. And, the dub's a little off, but it's better than some dubs. But the music kicks ass. It's a really cool story. She's basically the most human android ever created. And, somebody's going around killing others like her, and she wants to find out why. And all sorts of shit happens. It's, like I said, very stylish. Very awesome. If you dig science fiction at all, you're going to dig this movie, in my opinion. But it's definitely one of my most watched, which is the reason why it's number 2. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yes,
All
it's
right.
very cool.
Sam, is yours cool?
Number deuce. This probably should be number 1 just because the impact it had on me. But this is the series that made me like really into anime, and the one that made me convince my friends to tape the American version called Robotech off of TV so I can go over and watch it at their house. And I used to watch this in bootleg form for the longest time, but now I've got it on LD, and it's the movie Macross Do You Remember Love, which is a kind of retelling of the series. And they used to do that a lot. They'd come out with a movie that would essentially tell the same story as a series, but then alter a lot of things and condense things. And so it's got its own vibe for sure, but it's, essentially a space opera. It's got this one cool guy, Rick Hikaru, and he's hooking up with a pop idol singer named Minmay, but at the same time also kind of getting feelings for his commanding officer, Misa, who is kind of dealing with some problems of her own from her past and relationship traumas and stuff. And he's got like this kind of older big brother character named Roy Fokker, and he's this kind of badass, super aerial ace type guy. But they're all out in space on this big transforming robot ship that has a city inside of it, and it needs to transform every once in a while to use its weaponry against these aliens called the Zentradi that are constantly battling with them. And then it's this interesting thing where it has culture as an actual weapon, and the Zentradi are these kind of amalgams of, samurai with like Russians and all sorts of stuff. And they just don't know what to do when they're exposed to Western culture, essentially. And so music is eventually used as a weapon.
Yeah,
and so
their
Minmay,
ultimate weapon is singing.
Minmay sings songs to crush them, and killer stuff. I mean, I used to watch that all the time, and I had a book that had like the music for one of her songs written out, so I learned how to play it on guitar.
Hell yeah.
It's just such a part of my life, and it's cool having it on Laserdisc now. I've got the perfect edition, but the one I end up watching all the time is just the old junky, like early 80s analog audio only, CLV copy. For some reason, I just always slap that thing in the player and end up watching it.
Nice.
And it's cool. We got Peter Biancardi hooked on it too. So
Definitely.
The bug has transferred.
The animation in that movie is spectacular. Just the big reveal at the beginning of the SDF.
I was just gonna say, the SDF-1 money shot in the beginning.
Gosh,
it's in the shadows, and you see the twinkling lights on the ship, and then eventually it comes out of the shadows, and you see the ship, and the logo slams on the screen.
Yeah, oh my gosh, dude, yeah. And then it goes close to the ship, and it's so insanely detailed. You can see the city stuff happening inside while the mechs are flying outside. It's unbelievable how much time and effort they put into that animation.
Yeah, and it was... I wish I had been in Japan when it came out, because it was like an actual, like, bona fide, event. People were, camping overnight kind of things, like we do for Star Wars movies, to go see this thing. So,
yeah, that would have been wicked cool.
Yeah,
I've got a soft spot in my heart for Macross and Robotech too. So that's
I can't hate. I'm with a bunch of other guys that are a little bit more old school. Like there's a great YouTube series, Meizo no Taku, and they're also Carl Macek apologists. I can't hate on the Robotech, man.
Yeah, me neither. If we didn't have Robotech, we might not have had other series or other things come out that are in a similar vein.
For sure,
and be as popular. I'm a Macek apologist too. I make no bones about my love for Robotech and Macross.
Hell yeah. High five.
You might want to have a doctor take a look at that soft spot in your heart.
Aww.
Can't be good.
Yeah, whatever, bruh.
Yeah.
All
right, Shawn, did you do your number 2 yet?
I did do my number 2.
We know you did.
Yeah, I know. I did it right before we cast it. Yeah.
Yep. Delay in the show. Yep.
Felt 10 pounds
all
lighter.
Right. So let's go on to our number 1 then.
All right.
Why don't you start us off?
Who?
Shawn?
Who, me?
You.
Excellent. All right. This one's easy. You probably see me post it on LaserDisc Forever more than probably anything else. And it's Crusher Joe, the excellent Animega release. It's a wonderful space opera featuring these characters called Crushers who are, I don't know, like, they're not bounty hunters. I don't know. They skirt the moral line between good and evil, but they can do anything. They can be bounty hunters. They can transport your illegal stuff from one planet to another and no questions asked, and shit like that. And eventually they find out somebody fucked them over, so they go and fuck them back, which is great. It's just a wonderful movie. The director Yoshihiko Yoshikazu did mech designs for Gundam. He did Venus Wars. He's actually the guy who did the original character design for the Dirty Pair. Its designs are great. The orchestral score by a guy who's basically just a jazz musician. I think it's the only score he ever did. Can't even remember his name off the top of my head. What the fuck is his name? Oh, Norio Maeda. He does piano jazz and stuff. But for some reason they got him to do this sweeping, wonderful orchestral soundtrack for it, and it's just brilliant. And it's as far as the package is concerned, it's a really sweet Animego double disc gatefold. If you've ever seen one, you know how beautiful they are. It just great shots inside. Always the translation is wonderful. The subtitles are yellow and clearly visible. It's got a sheet with explanations for different words or different situations, maybe references to other anime in there, and it's just top-notch shit. And I always put it on if I'm like, I want to watch something before I go to bed, and I have no idea what. Well, it's fucking Crusher Joe.
Nice. And I do want to mention it is also not on LaserDisc database. So yeah, I guess I'll never watch it. I'll never get to see it.
That's lame. But also, I just want to point out that I'm talking about the movie. There's also
not the OVAs,
because I own the movie, but I don't own the OVAs. And I remember I mentioned to Peter Biancardi that Crusher Joe ruled, and he's like, this one, and it was the OVAs. I was like, no, man, I want that one. He's like, oh, I already bought it. And I was like, fucking goddamn it.
I know he went from like Padawan to Super Jedi of anime like overnight. He's got all the killer stuff.
Yeah, dude, for sure. He even has a Macross arcade fucking game in his.
I know, right?
Dude, so cool. But anyway, yeah. That's my number one.
What?
Number one. Yeah, he does, dude. He does. But anyway, anime is. This is great. I'm so glad we did this. I've been dying to talk about more anime.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, what about you guys? What were your guys' number ones?
Sam, why don't you go ahead?
I'm going mainstream. You saw it coming a mile away, but it is one of the first Japanese imports I ever bought back in the 90s, and it's Akira, aka Akira, depending on who you talk to.
Nice.
It is one of the the best animated, and I love the soundtrack. Was it Geno Yamashiragumi?
Oh yeah.
Did this killer kind of soundtrack with.
Oh God, yeah, the soundtrack is amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that intro. It's so good.
Very, very percussive,
Yeah.
and kind of like steel, like drum instruments, and also folk instruments, etc. But it's just very tribal almost, and just killer film. About a motorcycle gang and kind of encountering these psychic kids that have intense powers, and one member of the gang ends up contacting one of those kids so close that he himself is imbued with these powers, and there's this kind of specter looming over the thing of this person Akira who apparently went nuclear at one point and did a lot of damage. So it's just really so detailed, so gorgeous looking. And I bought the CLV Japanese disc, and oh man, I killed that thing. I brought it with me with my LaserDisc player to parties at colleges and watched it with people, and I never really listened to it in English either. I had the streamlined dub on VHS, but I always just love watching just the Japanese release. I don't know, the story comes across, and I've seen it in English enough times that I don't really need to see it in English again. Like, I kind of just get the feel for it. But love the animation, love the character design, and everything about it. So
Yeah,
it's a gimme.
I owned this on VHS at one point, which is kind of funny.
Whoa, that's hilarious.
I taped it off like Showtime or HBO or something like that, and I actually took it to my art class at school, and we watched it there.
Whoa, all right.
Yeah, nice.
Good pick.
Yeah, great pick, dude. Great pick.
I know it's a gimme, but yeah.
I think like actually bringing up that release and you talking about hearing it in English, I gotta say I'm probably the only person that I know personally who likes the anime's dub, the newer dub. The streamlined dub.
The streamlined, yeah.
The streamlined dub is nostalgic for me, but it sucks compared to the other one. It's awful, But anyway.
Is that the one I have in the box set?
That's the streamlined.
Yeah, it's the streamlined.
Yeah, I was going to mention earlier that the dialogue is, and the way it's delivered is
weird, stilted.
Craptastic.
Yeah, it's representative of how dubs were done back in the day. They didn't care as much.
Hey man, you better relax. You're gonna clog your arteries.
Oh my gosh, yeah. About the only good thing about that dub was when that guy was slapping all the kids saying discipline. That's about that's about the best part of that dub. Yeah. But anyway, please. Awesome pick, Sam.
Well, thanks.
So we're on to my number one.
You are.
Yeah, man.
My number one is Akira.
Hey!
Yay! Crossover. And you guys thought you would cross over. See?
Actually, I did.
Yeah, you guys crossed the streams. That's the universe ending.
Gozer's taking over now.
Yeah, so Akira, for all the reasons Sam mentioned. Now, this is a movie that I did watch when I was younger. I didn't remember. At this point, I don't really remember anything about it except for what I saw last night. But it's amazing. The soundtrack, like Sam said, is just, it gets your heart pounding. It's like so good. And that opening scene where they're chasing the clowns on the highway.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's a movie that appeals to me in every which way. I mean, there's motorcycles, there's fighting, there's chicks, there's
psychic
it's
powers.
awesome. Psychic powers. There's dudes getting shot. There's protesting. There's so much
buildings exploding. And
so much buildings exploding. I mean, the movie starts with a nuke going off. It's freaking amazing. I just love it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so.
Excellent pick, man. I think Akira and Ghost in the Shell, two anime movies that are considered classics now, are worth talking about a little more, to be honest with you, because they both came from works that were much larger. Like the manga for Akira is 2,000 pages, The manga for Ghost in the Shell is something like 400 or 500 maybe.
But so movies are different beasts altogether.
Right, for sure. And like the movie for Akira, there's it's so effective, like all of its pieces. The animation is amazing, especially for the time. The music, like we were just talking about, is pumping, and it sets the mood for every scene, and it all works. But like I always feels like, to me, even watching it now, and almost every time I watch it, that it keeps you at arm's length. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't give you any answers. Like come on, man, who understands that ending?
Yeah.
Fuck. I have no idea what happened. At that,
Spoilers.
and in the manga doesn't end where the movie ends. It goes on for like another 1,000 pages. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. I love the movie. It was the first anime film I watched. The film, like film. But I just, it's got a special place in my heart. But like I said, that streamlined dub blows. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm gonna get a bunch of haters. Come on, bring it. I will bathe in your tears. Because seriously, I hate that streamlined dub, dude. I hate it.
I never listened to it. Yeah. I mean, I have it, but I never listened to it.
It's awful. It's awful.
Well, it's all I have, so I'm going with it.
Yeah, if you want the other dub, you'll have to get the Pioneer releases from the 90s. You just will.
Yeah.
Or 2000, I think they did. 2001, maybe. But whatever, it's better. Way better.
Maybe I will. So, yeah, that's it for our top 5. Shawn, real quick, top 2 tentacle porn.
Oh, fuck off. I knew this was coming.
We covered that last time, right?
God. I don't know, man. Fuck.
Save it for another cast.
We'll have top 5 tentacle porn next cast.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Perfect.
come on. As if this wasn't hard enough for me. My God.
If I gotta say the blue girl and the one that starts with a U that nobody can pronounce.
Urotsukidoji?
Yeah, Urotsukidoji, yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody but Sam.
Yeah. he spent a lot of time looking at that cover, trying to pronounce that.
You metalheads, look up Testament has an album called Low, and they actually have a song called Urotsukidoji, and it has audio from the film
sweet,
in the song.
That.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah,
Testament.
Yeah. I know what Testament is. I just never realized that.
My top 1 tentacle porn is Little Nemo Adventures.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
that's gross.
Pretty naughty.
Gross.
All right, guys. That's enough of that.
Yeah, thanks for making me do that.
You
you always make me feel uncomfortable even when I'm having fun, Moyke. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Way to go.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on to Hot Topics.
Hot topics.
Hot topics.
Topics in the morning, topics in the evening.
Topics from the LDF.
From the group.
All right, so the first topic we're going to cover, I forget who asked it. Anyway, it was a question about how do you organize your stuff? Does anyone just alphabetize everything, or do you just live in chaos?
I thought that was David. Was that David Sherman you said?
I don't remember.
Oh. All right. Well, whatever. It's a great question. Sam, go ahead.
I meant to write it down.
How do I organize?
Yeah.
I've got a mix. I do alphabetize most of my movies A through Z, and then I have separate sections for anime titles and music titles, and of course I got a James Bond section. And Criterions.
Of course.
I have a Criterion section. I used to split up my Japanese imports, but now I have so many of them it doesn't matter. So I integrated them in the regular movie A through Z. But I don't split up by drama or comedy or anything like that. It's just A through Z, and then just that other stuff. Though it sucks because I have some James Bond Criterions and I have a Criterion section. So my Criterion James Bonds are with my James Bond section, so they're missing from my Criterion section. So I'm just going to have to buy 2 copies.
Yeah, I was going to say
get the CLV ones.
Yeah. So that's how it's organized now, but I know it's changed a few times over the years, but yeah, it's pretty simple.
Nice. I used to be straight alphabetical for everything. I mixed all the genres and everything else, blah, blah, blah. But now I organize basically every format that has movies on it in the same way. Criterions by spine number, single and double discs A through Z, box sets A through Z, Disney A through Z, anime A through Z. There you go.
Oh yeah, I have box sets A through Z too separately. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
No, you're welcome. But that's how I do it with every format. Blu-ray, DVD, LaserDisc.
Yeah, I do. So I used to do alphabetical, but I'm really the type of person who, when they're going to pick a movie, asks themselves, what kind of movie do I feel like I'm in the mood for? So it makes it a lot easier if I have things separated by genre, where I can just go in and grab them that way. It's genre and alphabetical, except for my box sets. My box sets are just lining the top in any whatever order. If you have OCD, it would make your head explode if you saw what's going on with the box sets. But and so I've got the basic genres. I got action, adventure, yada yada. The only thing I keep separate are the Troma movies and Full Moon movies. I keep those in their own little special section.
That makes sense.
Those are like your criterions.
Yeah, that's my criterions. Yeah, my criterions are mixed within everything else, but I got to keep the Full Moon and the Troma separate just because I'm pulling from it so much.
A question for you, Moyke. Did you and your family do a lot of renting video back in the day?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
We rented from Rainbow Video in our tiny little town.
Nice, man.
There was no LaserDiscs. It was all VHS.
No, right. But I mean, all the people I know that organize their collections the way you do used to rent movies like religiously when they were kids, like with their family. Like they made it a thing, so they're just used to going to the section of the movie they feel like renting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like the style of movie they feel like watching. You know what I mean?
and you're right on point. It kind of recreates that experience of going to the rental place and picking out a movie off the shelf. And we always picked by what the cover looked like.
Of course.
Of
course. Totally judging a book by its cover.
And 9 times out of 10, you're like, fuck, that's not even in the movie. Oh, I got ripped off again.
Dude, I can't tell you how disappointed I was when I found out Monkey Shines wasn't about a killer toy monkey with symbols.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Yep.
Such a creepy fucking cover.
But then you watch the movie and it's just a capuchin and it's like throwing poop and trying to kill this guy. It's like really weird. So anyway, that was that. Now we need to talk about, because he begged relentlessly, our Scandinavian friends who went to the Hoarder House and picked up a bunch of discs. It was David Gusfrey, Harvard Johansson, Lars Jonsrud, Kurt Morgan Skjerengerd, Herdigurgi Swedish Chef, Andreas Jensen, Elvind Fjerld Svengen, Ragnar Lothbrok, and Lothar the Hill People.
I am so sorry to all these people for how bad Moyke just butchered all your names. I'm
anyway,
so sorry.
Yeah, well, whatever. I did my best.
I know Avon listens too, so he's going to comment below, so get ready.
Yeah.
Well, if you Scandinavian folks spelled your names normally, it would be easy.
Anyway,
Right,
so
Moyke.
this is a kick-ass story. Like, when we were talking about this before, I said, I'm totally jealous that all these guys live close enough to each other that they can do something like this. Like, I wish I lived close to you two and could be like, yo, I just found a killer lot. Come, we'll buy it all together, and then we'll sit all day and hang out and go through it or whatever. It just sounds like such a cool experience that they had, and, that everything they got looked like it was in great shape. Some of them got away with some stuff that's pretty rare and really cool. I mean, I know Gusfrey got Frankenhooker and a bunch of really neat shit, and it's basically a new condition,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many discs was it total, do you know?
I know they went through about 1,300, but I think they each picked what they wanted. Some of them got more stuff than others. Some of them got like 10 or 20 of them. Some of them got, like Gusfrey, I think, 100 or 200 or something like that. I know Ivan was really excited about getting the XXX files, Lust in Space.
Dude, the porn was impressive.
Yeah, that's for sure. And
I was jealous.
And there were a couple players in there. I know Lars got a CLD 2950. Is that what it is? Something like that. And yeah, dude, they had a good old time hanging out, and that's really cool. And we really appreciate our friends over there in that part of Europe. They're really great. They're really great people. Yeah, sharing that with us. I mean, they're the only ones who've done a successful LaserCon. They've done it a couple years in a row. And I'm not trying to say anything about anybody here, but I mean, dude, that's really cool that they all know each other and hang out. Really, really awesome shit.
Yeah, I noticed that with the Scandinavian people, and that was kind of my comment before about them being hoarders. I just meant like super collectors is what I really meant. But I see the same thing on the vintage computer groups. You don't have a guy who's got like maybe 2 or 3 Commodore 64s. He's got like 500 of them. And it's like crazy. It's like, and they all have these conventions that they all go to, and it's they're really when they're into something, they're really into it, and I actually think it's awesome. So that's what I meant by hoarding.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I was looking at the photos though, did you guys see how the guy kept those LaserDiscs? Like he kept them in stacks.
Yeah, it's so weird.
What the fuck?
Why would you do that?
Why would you ever do anything like that?
It's the weirdest thing. I'm looking at it, and he's got the shelves labeled and everything, all that.
Yeah, but he's got them stacked like 10, 20 high.
Yeah, what the hell?
They said they were in great shape, though. Thank God. I'm glad that all those guys were there to save it.
Yeah, me too.
Wait, we're going right now, right?
Yeah, we are.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting all my best lines.
This is live. Yeah, anyway, guys, great haul.
Oh, dude.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that was kick-ass, man.
For people like Sam and I and Shawn, who very rarely see any large lots, it's always nice to live vicariously through others. Although Sam and I live close enough together where we probably could.
We could make it happen if there was like a big
New
York lot or something like that, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would even go as far as Connecticut. So.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Whatever.
If I see something killer
that's
like
crazy.
that.
Yeah, I would never drive out of state for LaserDiscs, but it's a really fucking far from where I'm at to Georgia.
Oh yeah.
I drive into Massachusetts all the time for him. So.
Right.
Yeah, I would go to Massachusetts as well. That's a cool thing about the Northeast is it's all tiny states kind of close together.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for that segment. Let's move on to the mailbag.
Mailbag.
Love it.
This ain't Blue's Clues, man. Come on.
Yes, it is.
Fuck off.
You're right.
All right. So first question in the mailbag is from Jason Seachrist.
Yeah.
Seacrest?
See Christ out.
Mr. Seachrist.
out. It's like regular Christ.
No, it's the new action figure, Seachrist.
Seachrist. He's got a snorkel outfit.
Yeah, we also have Forest Christ, Mountain Christ,
Collect them all.
Arctic Christ, and Bat Christ.
And they form Mega Christ when they all come together. So.
I can't wait to see the bitching in the video comments. Yeah. His question is, in your opinions, what are the most sought after disc? The most difficult disc to find and own? So most sought after disc. I don't know. What do you guys think is the most sought after disc?
It changes. Like back in the day, it used to be Song of the South, but Song of the South is like LaserDisc collecting 101 for like the LDF.
It is.
Like that's so like mainstream. Like everybody's got 10 copies by now. So
yeah, same with Sixth Sense.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
gonna say the Keep.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say the Keep is the most sought after.
Oh man, yeah, a lot of people want that.
Especially lately.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's for a while there was the Marauder Metropolis back in the early like 2000s. That was like a big one, and then that came out on Blu-ray, so nobody cares now. And then Song of the South, but you're right. Like the Keep is the one I hear people talking about the most now. So it's not X-Men or anything like that, like rarity-wise, but yeah, people want it.
Yeah, that's where more people want it than can get a hold of it and talk about it all the time. Like, it's attainable for people.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, the prices on late releases are so stupid. I mean, I know, and it all depends on what those people that collect those super late releases want, on the given day. Like, I remember for a week, it was Stigmata, way back when I first started collecting. It was like, oh, I gotta get Stigmata, I really want Stigmata. And I'm like, why? That movie kind of stinks. You know what I mean? Like, why would that be the movie that you really want? I don't know. But that's a super rare one that, I never see, So, I mean...
That was the one, didn't it break $1,000 recently? So
yeah,
that was like one of the big ones,
Yeah,
and it made everybody raise the prices of all the other ones.
Yeah, fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to think like, oh, next Christmas I'll get X-Men. Until now it's like, goes for $700. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Yep. They've all gone out of reach. I really wish I had picked up the Existenz for $75.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time I was like, Yeah, at the time I was like, what? 75 for that?
Yeah.
I'm not paying 75.
I know. I'd love
for
to
that.
have Existence too. But again, same thing. It's like the prices are. Yeah. It's not for like fans of the film anymore. It's for that weird little trophy collecting kind of sub fandom.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm excited.
What about?
Go ahead, dude.
Oh,
I was just gonna say, I'm glad I got the only 2 late release movies I actually care about before prices went crazy. Because I know the last time I saw somebody selling App Pupil, they wanted like $200 for it, and I'm like, I got it for $35.
Yeah.
I got mine for $35.
And it's perfect. It's got the seller. I think it was Kobos. He felt the need to show me this one little ding that's like a nanometer wide.
Yeah, I love when he does that. Is that okay?
And
I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm perfectly yeah, of course it is. But that one in Broke Down Palace, I got them like fairly early, and I'm so happy I did because the prices today are fucking ridiculous. No way I'm paying that much. I'm gonna go collect anime and have fun and enjoy actually watching stuff. Besides eBay auctions.
Yeah, I want to say to people, if you're getting down by the price of some of these discs, like I said earlier, you can go get Airheads for like $7.
Yeah.
Go
There's plenty of fun, cheap stuff.
Watch it, enjoy it
For sure.
Yeah, forget those trophies.
Or try out a genre of film you wouldn't normally try out, like what we were talking about tonight, anime. Give it a shot. You've never seen anime, you always went, it's just cartoons or whatever. I assure you, some of these are very adult-oriented movies. Not adult-like sex, but adult themes made, for adults to view. They're real movies and stuff like that. They're not just some cartoon, So, and they're cheap and attainable. You can get that and collect a bunch and have fun collecting and not just watching eBay auctions.
Yep. His follow-up question is, what's the most difficult disc to find and own?
At home? What? At home?
No, to find and own.
Oh, God. Any of those late releases.
Yeah, exactly.
All of them.
Six day.
Yeah, anything made in 2001.
Yeah.
What about the Green Inferno? I heard that was pretty rare. I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm trying to think of something not a late release that's hard to own. But anyway, he says, love the intro song. Who wrote it? I laugh every time the Blu-ray line comes up.
Fuck you!
So Sam wrote it, Shawn sings it, and I play backing vocals.
That's 100% inaccurate, but...
Yeah, believe what you like.
It's a mystery. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll never
the
find
world
out.
will never know.
Yep. That's right. All right, a question from Ela. Sam and Shawn.
Oh boy.
We have seen a resurgence of some of... Wait, what about me? Ela, what the fuck? Sam and Shawn? Dude, what am I, chopped liver?
Apparently.
What the fuck?
Really likes us better.
All right, let's see what stupid question Ela has. We have seen resurgence of some 80s and 90s electronic devices like cassette decks, turntables, and video game consoles, clones of NES, SNES, Genesis, Game Boy, etc. Do you think there is a chance that there will be a limited production of for example, a simple top-loader new LaserDisc player? No, there will not.
Never
be.
ever.
People keep asking this. So what do you say, Sam?
Well,
will there ever be a LaserDisc player made?
The player would be easier to make than like getting like disc manufacturing up and running again. Like you could maybe have some weird like guy in his basement with a bunch of equipment, but cobbling together like some sort of boutique player or something like that. Maybe put together from pieces of old ones, or I don't know, maybe with 3D printers start replicating new stuff. But part of the problem is Pioneer couldn't even get what they needed to make players. They were making them up until 2009, but they were running out of the parts available. So I mean, it's one of those things where technologically it's not impossible, but it's not financially realistic, and there's not enough people that would to mass produce them. There's nobody that's really going to pony up for that to get that sort of groundswell up and running again. But maybe some like sort of like customized thing where some guy puts a HDMI port on it and builds a DVD into it, and I love when Make Magazine would do stuff like they take old like Atari 2600s and turn them into Blu-ray players, that sort of thing. In fact, I'm bummed out that there's like not enough like customized LD players out there, because I've seen some people that cover them with stickers and spray paint them with like the Dawn of the Dead logo. I kind of to see more of that. Like, people taking old S201s and stuff and really going to town on them. And like, I think was it Maxine was going to do one in like Barbie pink or something?
Yeah,
like
Barbie
that.
pink and pastel pink and pastel purple. Yeah, it would have been badass.
So yeah, I doubt there's going to be like new like mass manufactured players, but I want to see like some weird customized things, man. Like hot rods, like people take old cars that aren't being mass produced and they turn them into something new. So do that. I want to see somebody do that.
Yeah, talk to Ingo Baud. He'll make you up.
Yeah, right. He will.
Awesome.
He'll like cobble it together and put AC3 in it and everything.
Yeah.
When you were talking about there might be some guy cobbling together parts, I'm like, Ingo Baud. He's probably doing
Now
that right now.
Here's Ingo. Yep.
All right, Hila.
Yeah,
there's your obvious answer.
Dude, just to put my 2 cents in, I'm the same way. It's possible, but it's not probable. Nobody's gonna fucking do that unless it's a one-off.
No.
I mean, no company's gonna do it and make a bunch of them. Like one guy might, But then again, with video games and computers, there's a big subculture of modders, people who dig in the internals and build computers for their friends or themselves. LaserDisc people don't do that. They just want to put a movie in. You know what I mean? It just seems that way. I'm sure there are people out there, and I hope there's one guy out there who does it for himself. But there's always one guy who's like, "Oh, it'd be easy. It'd be so easy." I'm like, "Do it then."
Yeah,
I've yet to hear from those people.
Yeah, there was one dude, I think his name was LaserDisc Modder on the forums, and he was going through like old like junky players and replacing all the capacitors with like high quality ones, and he was able to like eke out all this extra performance from a mid-grade player. And I know Curtis Barr, who's like the LaserDisc Yoda, one of the last remaining kind of repairmen, was saying, "Oh, why don't you just go buy a CLD 97 in the first place, and why waste your time with it?" So it's a lot of effort for kind of minimum results. But I'd like to see more of a hot rodder kind of community happening with LD. So that'd be fun.
It'd be cool, but it's
I want to trick out my MDP 333 and then anger everybody.
Yes, that would be so great.
Oh boy.
Have like crazy signal to noise ratio and like crush every player out there.
All right. Well, So let's move on to the next one. Bo Elkhorn, he asks, "What's your favorite kids LaserDisc and why?" So, favorite kids LaserDisc.
The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. There you go.
Is that a serious answer?
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched that one with.
Okay.
I watched. It's
just checking.
Yeah, it's one that I can put on for my little kids. Like you gotta remember, my kids range in age from 12 to 3, so I've got to have some content for little tiny guys. And Winnie the Pooh was always a favorite. Love the books. Read the books to them. I can put it on and have them ignore me for an hour. So it's a big favorite. Leave me alone, kid. Here's Winnie the Pooh.
Cool. Sam, how about you?
I'll go with Dunderklumpen because it's Swedish, and it's like kind of like a mixed Pete's Dragon like animation with live action.
Yeah,
this little kid seeing this like little kind of Swedish troll creature kind of guy, and it's fun. And it's only like from old like Vestron video releases, so it's it's pretty low quality like video wise, but have fun. Dunderklumpen.
Dunderklumpen.
All right. My pick. That's a tough one. I don't know if it would count as a kids LaserDisc because I think it's more teen oriented, but Airborne would make that list. So to go, dude, it's
Airborne.
That's
fuck that. Get Gleaming in the Cube instead.
Yeah, man.
No, fuck you. Oh god. Don't even get started.
Get your come on, whatever, dude. Whatever, dude. Christian Slater and his dangly earring are way better than those fucking
no
stupid
rollerbladers.
Right? Yeah.
Jack Black. Is
my 45-year-old neighbors were rollerblading down my street.
Yeah.
I was skateboarding to school. So whatever.
Yeah, man. My Tony Hawk board says rollerblading is lame.
All right. Well. I did the fruit boots. I was fruit booting at the time. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. And I love Airborne, so fuck you. But anyway, that's a teenager movie. I'm not going to count that. I'm going to go with instead... I had one. And I
What
forgot.
about that one?
What
about the one I gave you, Princess and the Goblin?
Oh, yeah, nice one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Runner up. Any movie Disney put out.
Yeah, I know.
Those are like so obvious.
No, heavyweights. I'm gonna go with
Oh
heavyweights. That's a
man,
good
great movie.
There you go, heavyweights.
I love that
Heavyweights
movie.
is my favorite. Okay, what's next? Let's see. All right. Here we go.
What?
Hello.
Hi.
My questions.
Hello, Adele.
My questions. The Evil Dead, the only read LaserDisc? Question mark.
Oh my god.
Exists LaserDisc in AC3 stereo? Question mark. All right, let's start with the first one.
Yes.
The Evil Dead, the only read LaserDisc.
I believe Evil Dead 2 is the only red-colored LaserDisc out there. Yeah, that's the only one I know of. So
Yeah.
I
Does it have AC3?
So this is.
Yeah.
So this is from Ingo Baud. These
I knew that.
Yeah, we knew.
And
we knew.
he speaks German, I'm pretty sure, so I'm gonna have to translate.
Yeah.
So Sam said, "Ich esse mein Scheiße und ich esse mein Vater Scheiße auch."
That is not what I said, Moyke.
No,
but
it's
That is.
I do
What do you mean? That
appreciate
is what you said.
your translation skills.
yeah.
All right. So his next question is: exists LaserDisc in AC3 stereo?
I don't think so. I think that's the thing. AC3 can mean
Ich habe ein kleinen Schwanz
AC3 can mean anything on DVD. It
und Shawn hat eine
can
Moyke.
be one channel. It can be 5.1 channels. But on LaserDisc,
Wir haben nix Sex außer mit Hunden.
douche.
Oh my god, dude.
But on LD, as far as I know, it's only 5.1. There's got to be maybe one or two where it's just 2.0. But all the ones I have are all 5.1.
Meine Mutter hast ein schöner und großer Booster.
Thank you, Moyke.
Wow.
Now, let's see. What's his next question? I have seen that AC3 exists in different formats in the good old laser times. Or was only AC3 in Dolby Digital Surround 6 channel?
I think it was kind of the same question as before, right? Like,
Is it?
I don't know.
All right, we'll go on to the
I
next
think it was only 6 channel. So
Okay.
Yeah.
What think about the Chiefs from LaserDiscotheque? Chiefs. Oh,
That's us.
Chiefs.
that's us.
What think about
We're the secret
What
chiefs.
think about the Chiefs from LaserDiscotheque from the Future of LaserDisc Forever group?
I bailed, so I have no input. I have no.
Is he asking what the future holds for the LaserDisc Forever group?
I think so. I think so.
Nothing much. Same old. More people, interesting characters, LaserDiscs. Me booting people who are douchebags.
Nice.
Yeah, more of the same.
Meine Schwan auf Kasse.
Fuck off.
Maybe I'll go back. That's the future.
Thick D.
That's what it holds for me.
That's what it holds. Okay. All right. Now, the next question is from Tim White. He asks, I am going to go there.
What up, Tim?
What are your arguments for or against Black Box Boogie Woogie? Modern gear with our beloved LD gear.
Yeah, nice. I'll go first.
Do you think
go
that-
ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, do you think the hate comes just from a lack of understanding or being able to own? Or are the purists just being purists? Thanks, guys.
Mine will be really quick. I'm totally not against it, although I don't do it currently. I've got an old LCD TV that still has the black box boogie woogie inside of it. It was before they took everything out and everything had to be like razor thin and stuff. But I'm not against it. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with the way LaserDiscs look on my television. I don't care. I don't have to have best picture, best sound quality ever. I just enjoy the experience. But I don't know where the hate comes from. I don't know. I really don't have any idea, except that some people don't like being told that they could do something better. They're just like, fuck off, leave me alone. Yeah. And, I sort of get that, but, I mean, I don't know. I don't really get it.
Sam, what's your take?
It's a weird perfect storm of miseducation and like magical thinking, and there's like a little bit of an economic thing there. Some people are legitimately against it because it's some expensive fancy hoo-ha, but it doesn't have to be. That's the thing. I don't invest lots of money into anything. What it boils down to is LaserDisc needs a couple things to be seen on a TV, or to be seen well on a TV. It needs like a time-based corrector, and it needs a comb filter, and all sorts of stuff. And that stuff, or an upscaler for new TVs, and that stuff is built in to the players and the TVs. So if you're talking about like anybody who gets at stuff externally as being idiots, then it's kind of disingenuous because it's in the product already. It's just you can get a better version of it. You can get a better. So it's it's no different than anybody wanting to get a little better something for their car, or get like some gas additive or something like that. It's nothing completely outlandish. And yeah, you can go and drop some crazy coin on some processors and scalers. But yeah, I mean, the stuff I added to mine, I got on eBay from, old TV stations. I got a broken DVD recorder with a cool comb filter in it. It's not really broken, but the person thought it was. I got it for like $25. So it's nothing really outrageous. And it's just fun. It's just a fun thing to kind of juice up my signal chain a little bit. So yeah, I think a lot of it is people think that there's this magical purity that happens when you plug one cable into a TV, when that's not the case. It still runs through TBC. It might run through noise reduction. It runs through a comb filter. It's going to run through all sorts of stuff. But because it's out of sight, out of mind, everybody thinks there's like these magical goblins that do all this stuff, and that it somehow is completely this pure rendering of what's on the disc, and that everything else is foolish. But yeah, like I said, it's a weird mix of that and thinking it's all expensive stuff, and there's that kind of backlash against people putting money into the hobby. So yeah, it's a hot mess for sure.
Yeah, I kind of liken the whole plug-in external devices into your LaserDisc and your TV. I kind of liken it to people who ride road bikes.
Yeah.
On the road, they're constantly removing things from their bikes to try to make them as lightweight as possible.
Yeah.
They might, remove something that's like half an ounce, and you're thinking, well, what good does half an ounce do? And it does do some good. It doesn't do probably a whole lot of good, but when you add it up, over everything else that they've removed, they're trying to get that thing as light as possible.
And hobbyists like to tinker too. It's fun. People that have PCs take out their PC drives and they add new RAM and all sorts of stuff like that. It's fun.
Yep. But I when I first started collecting, I had a DVD-O, I had a upscaling DVD player. I tried a couple other different things. No matter what I put in the line there, it never improved the picture whatsoever. Now, just to be honest, my TV, when I bought it, it was a pretty high-end TV. I mean, this wasn't a cheap TV. It was it's a Panasonic plasma screen. Yeah. And it's got, if I could show you the menu, it's got all sorts of scalers. And so when I talk shit about using scalers,
you had it in your TV.
I'm using a scaler. Yeah, right. It's in my TV.
You had a good comb filter in there.
You got the black box built in.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a very good scaler, and there's like mosquito whatever, there's like noise reduction, there's all sorts of shit going on. So when I give people shit, that's why I always say, when I tell people don't waste your money on scalers, I follow it up with just buy a really good TV. Now, with that in mind, you can get a scaler for like, $50 to $100. Yeah. You can't really get a really good TV for around that. Sometimes you can get lucky and get a high-end plasma just because people are dumping the technology. Yeah. But for the most part, even those usually cost $300-$400 for a large.
I sort of have to disagree with you on that, but only in this little bit.
Okay.
If you want a really good a flat screen TV, like a more modern set, that you can get something in the 30-inch to 40-inch range from either Hitachi or Philips, an LCD that still has all that really nice big black box boogie woogie in it and gives out a dynamite LaserDisc picture. Like, I know I've shown you guys some of screenshots from my setup, and it looks. I mean, I've shown it to Peter. Peter's like, "What are you doing? What are you you're at scalers and whatever?" And I was like, "Nothing."
Yep.
And he's like, like, I spent $500 on scalers to make it look as good as your TV did it, And
okay.
Obviously my
but
go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that I was just
going to say you can get those TVs for pretty cheap. People they don't want those things anymore. They give those away just like RP TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, but a lot of that quality comes from the fact that you're watching it on a 30 to 40-inch TV. And the smaller you get with the screen, the better it's going to look.
I'm also sitting like 12 inches away from it, so not really.
That's
not
really. It's a movie screen.
So
Well, dude, you shouldn't be sitting that close to your TV. What's wrong with you?
You're gonna be wall-eyed now.
I'm sitting in front of the couch, on the floor with my kids, so whatever. I'm actually I'm sitting like 2 feet away, really, to be honest. But still, and when 30 to 40 inch doesn't really matter. If you're that close, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, how far away? You sit like 6 feet away from your TV, don't you, Moyke?
Probably more. Probably 7.
Yeah. See, so that you need a 50-inch screen or 60.
Yeah, that's true. And so I mean, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to these scalers, it all depends on what, like you said, how far you're sitting from the screen, what kind of TV you have. So when I say don't bother with scalers, just get a good TV.
Right.
Yeah. What player you have?
What disc pressing is it?
I think you're better off investing that money in a better TV or a better player, rather than buying a scaler.
No, in my case,
now if you
the scaler also does ass tons of other things, and that's my brain and my system. Like you were talking about ADR switching, all my switching's done in there. I've got everything hooked up to it, and it's more than just a LaserDisc only device. So everybody's situation's different, but yeah.
Yep. But I'm telling you, if you get a decent TV, you get a decent player, you're good to go. You don't need that's why there are. I mean, people call us purists, but we're not purists. We just invested in our base hardware.
It's weird because the number one question I always see is like, how do I make it look better? Because people are plugging it directly into LCD TVs and they don't like how it looks. But then you tell them how to make it possibly look better, and then there's blowback against that because
it's really weird.
Waste money on it. It's weird, and I feel bad for Peter because he's done single-handedly more research into it, and just from an enthusiast standpoint, he's tried just about everything just to try it, just to see what it was like.
And right where he's sitting, he can compare LCD, plasma, RPTV. You know what I mean? They're all hooked up to the best players. Like the other day, he was like, "Oh, I'm watching Ghost in the Shell, and I'm having." Because there's 2 outs on my X9 or whatever, XO, one of those super players, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And he had one into a plasma and one into a CRT. And he's like, I'm seeing which one looks better and stuff. And I'm like, he does that shit all the time. That's his bread and butter. I wish I could do that. I just think, it's acceptable. And, that's what Moyke's getting to, I think, is that, if you have a good player, you have a nice TV, it'll be acceptable looking. Like, you're correct, Sam. Fucking LaserDiscs look horrible on super modern LCD and LED televisions. It look god awful, awful, gross even.
See, I go right from my player into my LED and it looks perfect. Now it's a 40-inch screen, so that's probably why. But
and you're sitting 8 feet away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am sitting kind of far from that one.
In my bedroom, I'm just plugging directly into the old CRT TV, and I'm plugging directly into my RPTV in my other room. So it's not a I don't have scalers all over the place and that sort of thing. It's each kind of setup, yields different results for me. So,
Well, I'll end with this. So depending on your situation, especially if you use a projector or whatever. Yep. Yes, scalers make sense, but I will say this, and I will end with this, as far as this goes. Everybody who has posted pictures of their screen when they have a scaler in the line, it has never looked better than what I get with my scalerless setup.
Have you seen some of those pics Peter put from his Lumagen with the Japanese the subtitles and stuff? It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive.
Japanese Oh, you mean? I didn't see that. Did he show a close up?
Yeah, of what it was.
The subtitles
things playing on the XO or whatever, and it's really you could see comparison pics. Wow, it was a kind of blurry blob versus this really finely rendered thing. I mean, it might not be something you're going to want to go and drop $10,000 on, but it's cool. You could actually see the difference.
Yeah,
it's neat.
Yeah, it's rad.
I'll have to check that out. But that's another point I wanted to make is I'm not saying that these products aren't going to improve your picture quality. What I'm mostly saying is that it's not going to improve them enough to justify the cost that they're probably going to set you back.
Right, and it's not instant satisfaction either. You can't just plug it in and all of a sudden everything's magical, like Sam was saying, magical.
There's a lot of tuning.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
fine tuning.
Yep.
Paying attention, knowing about things like chrominescence and all this other shit.
Yeah.
That I don't, you have to know about that stuff and all the different artifacts you're going to get, because analog has artifacts too. And you have to know what you have to do to get rid of them, or, more or less of whatever. And really, that's the point where I'm like, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I'd rather spend that time watching LaserDiscs rather than tuning things that play LaserDiscs.
Right. Anyway,
but yeah,
so,
we beat that.
we have beaten that
anyway,
question
so
to
yeah,
death. You're welcome, Tim.
yeah. If you can afford it, go ahead and buy them. But I think most people, it's just not necessary. And that's it. So that'll do it for this episode of the LaserDiscotheque podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Culturedog channel.
Yes.
As always, thanks to Shawn and Sam for warming this pizza with me.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah, baby. Slayer!
Slayer, it's totally not gay.
Oh my gosh.
We will catch you on the flip. Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Peace.